U.S. history lessons at Pewaukee High School. The 20th century was a time of new beginnings, a time of innovation, a time of change. Each era brought along unique and significant experiences to the nation, built upon morals of freedom and individuality. Trailing after a long and stressful period of war, riot, and danger, the early 1800s reintroduced peace and prosperity to the nation. Citizens were able to relax in the safety of our country and enjoy products of their hard work. Much of the population took the initiative to utilize extra spending money for themselves, for fun, rather than constantly saving wealth in fear of an economic collapse. From 1981 to 1985, the United States of America made significant progress in technology, politics, and social media with the help of a stabilized economy and greater amounts of money available to the common population.
To start this era off with a bang, in January of 1981, the captives that were being held in Tehran were released as President Reagan was inaugurated. This moment of unexplainable joy and relief set the tone for the rest of the era. The early 1980s were full of accomplishments and rekindled confidence in all.
In 1979, 52 Americans were taken hostage from the U.S. Embassy in Tehran during Carter's presidency. The people were held captive for a total of 444 days, much to the fright and anger of the American public. On January 20, 1981, the hostages were released, right as President Reagan was being inducted into office. Not only was America happy to see its citizens return home safely, but the U.S. population's spirits were also lifted by this joyful event. In comparison to the doubt from the Vietnam War, American citizens were more trustworthy of their government officials and proud of the work they had done.
A few months after the hostages were released from Tehran, 70 days into his presidency, on March 31, 1981, President Reagan fell victim to an assassination attempt.
Outside of the Washington Hilton Hotel, John Warrencock Hinckley Jr. pulled the trigger. Moments after, the president was struck with a bullet that entered his armpit and traveled all the way to his lung. This assassination attempt led way for the medical field to prove itself and its advancements, and allowed the country to prove its faith for their strong leader. It only took 5 hours after the shooting for President Reagan to return from surgery in stable condition. Rather than doubting his recovery as seen in the Watergate scandal, the people believed in Reagan and his previous accomplishments, and allowed the president to return and aid the country in continuing towards progress and prosperity this era is known for.
As Reagan's recovery highlighted important advancements in the medical field and raised the spirits of the population, the Supreme Court was also exploring new and innovative changes to its gender diversity. During an era when equality and prosperity were bountiful, it only seemed fitting that Reagan would appoint the first woman to the Supreme Court as a symbol of America's newfound open mind on gender equality.
Sandra Day O'Connor was the first woman to serve as a justice on the Supreme Court. Having a woman on the Supreme Court provided unique insight that was invisible in the eyes of the previous all-male court. With a different upbringing and distinct view on the world, O'Connor was able to illuminate hidden aspects on cases dealing with abortion, religion, and other questionable topics. Her impact during the era from 1981 to 1985 opened doors for women politicians and created room for further innovation in the gender diversity of the U.S. government.
During this era, not only was the government advancing, but so was the music and entertainment industry. 1982 brought the creation and debut of MTV, a network offered on cable television primarily focused on music.
And all that MTV had to offer. This musical vibe of the early 80s was a teen sensation. Now more than ever, teens were listening to more music and spending more money on this form of entertainment. Not only did MTV bring more attention to music or give artists yet another place to grow, but also more money to the entertainment industry.
Just as entertainment was expanding through the creation of MTV and various other shows, the medical field was also experiencing a wave of innovation. As heart problems plagued the country, many research teams were on the hunt for an artificial device that could mimic the pumping motion of a real heart.
The artificial heart, called a SynCardia device, is working well. The totally artificial heart is made up of 2 ventricles and 4 valves. It's powered with air and vacuum, provided with a pneumatic device that is portable once the patient goes home. Doctors sensed its efficiency during the surgery.
This was finally accomplished when Barney Clark received his artificial heart at the Utah Medical Center. Not only did Clark receive a life-saving device, he also marked an important moment in American history when man-made devices could take the place of failing organs. The operation was led by Dr. William DeVries, Chief of Cardiothoracic Procedures at the University of Utah Medical Center. This operation was the first of its kind, leading to many more transplantations to be made effective so that patients could better enjoy their lives. It took the prosperity and renewed faith of the 1980s to propel the medical field towards a direction of innovation that was seen in the artificial heart transplant.
Although many historians will claim that America only prospered from 1981 to 1985, others will argue that there were many atrocities, such as the AIDS epidemic, that plagued the American society.
Known as the century's worst epidemic, AIDS started out as a mystery to the doctors and medical professionals around the country. The disease, however, gave scientists an initiative to innovate and improve technology and medicine in order to better suit the rapidly changing American society. Doctors' determination led to various medications and treatments to help slow the effects of AIDS and reduce its transmission. The huge number of AIDS deaths will never be looked upon as a positive aspect of American history, but without the outbreak of 1983, our medical technology and doctors' strive to succeed would never have reached the heights that they stand at today.
Because of the numerous innovations that occurred during his first term as president and the faith and trust that people had in him, Ronald Reagan was re-elected as the President of the United States of America on November 6, 1984.
The economy was stable, advancements were being made, and the people were satisfied and content with their lives. They found no reason to put Reagan out of office. The race of '84 was between Reagan and Walter Mondale. When the votes were tallied, Reagan won by a landslide, winning a total of 49 out of 50 states. In his second inaugural address, Reagan ensured that despite earlier economical problems, America would continue to advance and look towards an even better future. With his monumental victory, the faith the people had in Reagan was obvious, and the re-election proved itself as yet another event that marked the early '80s as a time of peace and prosperity.
With the numerous technology, government, and social innovations that came in the early 1980s, along with a stable economy, America was seen as a fit host for the Olympics. In 1984, Los Angeles was home of the Summer Olympics, hosting many countries and thousands of top-level athletes in the world's largest sport.
One of the obvious concerns with hosting the Games was the cost. According to the Los Angeles Olympic Organizing Committee, it cost $497.7 million to stage the Games. However, because of the economic stability America held, LA came out of the Games with a financial profit, the first city in the history of the Olympics to do so. Because of the international focus on America, the tourism to LA, and previously positive economic position, the Olympics allowed the USA to once again be in a state of peace and prosperity.
Chock full with events in the medical field, White House, and entertainment, the 1980s was by no means a slow or placid time for the United States. After the doubt from the Vietnam War had subsided, citizens were more willing to spend their money, allowing for great innovations to be made, such as the investment in MTV, the artificial heart, and the Summer Olympics. This renewed faith in our nation was also allowed for a greater sense of community during tough times, such as the attempted Reagan assassination, hostage situation in Tehran, and the AIDS epidemic. After a long, treacherous Vietnam War that exhausted our nation and killed our confidence, the early 1980s provided a fresh breath of prosperity. Citizens were tired of the repetitive violence of war, and therefore opened up their eyes to change. These changes allowed for our country to grow and prosper, making many historic memories